There's this conspiracy theory that's been going around. It's close to home. Apparently, there is a conspiracy that I don't have hair, that I'm bald.
Whoa, bro.
So,
but you've just been photoshopping your hair in. I mean, that's actually true.
Because he's been hiding under a hat.
Yeah. So this is photoshopped. I am bald. And the amazing thing is like I've gotten so good at editing. Look at this watch.
Yeah, I saw that on Jimmy Fallon, Donald Trump.
It looks real.
Jimmy Fallon, Donald Trump.
Yeah. That was all CGI.
Yeah,
so I just had to go with that.
Oh yeah, no hat, just to prove it.
Just to prove that I'm not bald.
Now here's the interesting part. I have seen several pictures of myself where it appears that I have hair. I think maybe not right now, but sometimes it'll be at a weird angle, and like you can see my scalp because my hair's just. Apparently, I'm old now, so that's just what happens.
Yeah, you get a right angle.
Yeah, just like the right angle, and it's like
lighter.
Oh, you're bald, but
like, no,
but I'm not bald. Then I'm like, does my hair bald? And then people are like, no. Mike, I asked the lady cutting my hair. She's like, no, it's not bald. And then I'm like, she just wants a tip.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments ever. I was at a barbecue with my family, and my older brother. He's like 3 years older than me, so I think he's hitting 40 this year. So he's a little probably self-conscious, I would imagine. And we're at this barbecue, and my mom walks up, starts putting her fingers through his hair, and goes, "You're thinning out."
Oh,
dude,
Mom.
Yeah, I about died. It was like one of my.
She probably thinks it's a cute stage or something. You know, it's like
endearing.
Oh, you're walking. Oh, you're out of diapers. Oh, you're thinning. Cute.
She probably meant nothing by it. Like my neighbor, he's the same age as me, and he's in and out doing a bunch of different stuff, so I don't see him very often.
Yeah.
And he was out front, so we interact once every 3 years. And I went out because he was visiting his parents, and we're talking, and he's got cool salt and pepper hair. And I'm like, dude, your hair's freaking awesome. And he was like, oh, thanks. We talked about it. I went in, and my wife was probably my wife said, she's like, you probably horrified him. She's like, you like the salt and pepper look. She's like, not many people do. So when they're graying, she's like, don't draw attention
but
to
dudes,
it. And I'm like,
I think a
yeah,
lot of chicks,
cool.
a lot of chicks do like it.
Yeah.
A lot of chicks like it, I think. And yeah, I like it too. It looks, I mean, don't you think maybe not this much, but.
Well, George Clooney.
Yeah. Come on.
Dude, that guy's a stud.
He was sexiest man of the year.
If his hair was all one color, I would spit on him.
Yeah, who cares?
Spit on him.
I'd burn him with my lighters.
Yeah. I would just
but with the gray, then I don't.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to buy that magazine.
Yeah.
Sexiest
just because he's on it.
So get this. I have a story to tell you guys. So there was this time when I was a kid. I can't even remember how it happened, but I ended up smacking my nose. Hard. Hard.
With your hand?
I was going to say,
on
something or...
If I remember correctly, it was... So, do you guys remember the old Ford Tauruses?
Yeah.
Where it was
old?
It was
I was
going
to say.
in the 90s old. Okay? And it had four doors.
Boxy ones.
And it had a fifth door in the back. And in the fifth door, you could open it up and the seat folded up. And there was two seats.
It was like a hatchback, right?
Yeah. And you could sit in the back. And you would face the back of the car, and that was the sixth and seventh seat of the car, right? So we had one growing up, and I typically would sit in the back, right? And I remember getting out of the Ford Taurus and was pulling the gate down, kids, they jump out and they pull the gate down and jump out at the same time.
I'm envisioning what you're about to say.
I did one of those, and the gate hit me right in the face, right on my nose. Okay? And I had one of those bloody noses that just bleeds and bleeds and bleeds and bleeds, right? And my mom, it won't stop bleeding. She's getting concerned. She's like, I think he broke his nose. And my dad's like, nah, dude, you're totally fine. And I'm telling him, no, dude.
In his mind, he's got numbers.
Yeah.
He's fine.
He's like, emergency room visit.
Ice on it for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Hospital visit.
Fine. It's fine. I'm sure he grabbed a bag of peas, just shoved it on my face. And he's like, toughen up, son. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
Pretend like you're okay in front of your mom.
Yeah. So I never got it fixed. And, for the longest time I told my dad, I broke my nose. And he just didn't believe me. And it wasn't until, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I had to have nasal reconstructive surgery so I could breathe.
Face, Dad.
And I did break my nose. But it healed crooked. And so my nose used to be really crooked. And now it's like slightly crooked, which is a huge upgrade.
Huge upgrade from.
But I'm not going to look at the camera dead on.
Yeah.
Because then you can tell. But at the angle, you can't even tell, dude.
Well, and then you're like, Dad, in your face, I told you. And in his mind, he would be like, yeah, but in your face, you had to pay for it.
You paid for it.
I did. Dude, I did.
Your insurance?
Two surgeries later.
Yeah.
And now I have like a $10,000 nose. So if you want to know what it
I had a
looks like.
similar experience with my daughter just recently.
Okay.
Where I'm in the dad role this time, obviously.
Right.
You're balancing numbers.
So she went to Hapkido, which is, you're like, and you do this stuff. And
Sick.
it's like your chi, like you focus your chi, and you
Yeah.
punch people out, and it's self-defense and honor.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
And she's 10, and she's really slight, but she's super fast runner.
Of course.
And they have this thing, so you learn how to fall a lot, which is, I think, is pretty handy, so you fall without hurting yourself. And so they tumble. And so she comes and she's running, and you jump head first. And then they'll start with, like, you just jump, like, 1 pad and then 2 pads. And they lengthen it, so you have to really go. Well, she doesn't even know really why. She's running, jumps, and she's head first, and she just forgets to roll. And she just, like...
Nose dive.
Like head first, and then her collarbone hurts.
Oof.
Oh no!
But then I felt it, and they can't do much for collarbone. We got the stuff at home because we have 7 kids, so it's like
You go to the closet.
Yeah.
What do you need? A neck brace?
Yeah.
Tourniquet?
we went down the broken bone section, took a left, but it was like it wasn't all the way broken,
Yeah.
So she's fine, and it's tender, but she's fine.
Right.
And it's like kind of, I call it a bent bone because you can see it because she's so skinny. It's like you're looking at an X-ray.
Yeah.
Right.
And her bones like that, just a little peak. And then like 3 or 4 days go by, and I'm like, let's go. And then it's a Saturday. They wanted to go right around here actually. They have that huge pyramid park where you can climb that huge pyramid.
Yeah, I know where that's at.
And so she's playing on. I'm not really thinking of it because she's not in any pain anymore. But then right at the end, she comes running up to me, and she had fallen, and you can't really fall to the bottom, but she had grabbed the rope, and now it was like, click.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, oh
man. No.
So I kind of just, I felt a little bit bad too, like parent of the year, let my kid go play.
Put something over it. You just
just like
grab
hold
the
still,
2x4,
hold
and
still.
a hammer. Couple taps, we'll get that straightened out.
But really, there isn't much you can do. So now she just has a big knot. We had to put her in the thing and hold her arm up, but she's back at Hapkido, and now she advanced to red belt.
Nice.
Good.
Which is a pretty big deal for her. I'm like, part of me is like, are they just scamming us? And I'm like, hey, that'll be another $100 for the belt advancement.
Another 10 lessons.
And I'm like,
just an MLM.
But no. Anyway, so a similar thing from the dad's perspective. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was not fun. And being a kid and having people not
I've
believe
never
you.
noticed your nose, though, but now you mention it, I can see this. Yours is a little crooked, too.
Here, ready?
Yeah.
We'll get close to the camera.
I was like, my nose has been.
I think I'm looking straight at the camera.
I ran into a
Yeah,
parked
it's crooked.
car.
I mean, I've hurt my nose a
what
lot, but
reminds
is
me
mine
of mine was.
crooked? I've never even thought about it.
No.
Mine's not crooked?
Oh,
Let me look at me.
It's just huge and has these red things on it?
It's a little crooked. Everybody's is, I think,
Everyone would be
bit.
a little bit, right?
I always
You're
wanted.
not perfectly like
Symmetrical.
I always wanted to get like in a fight and just get like a really solid left hook to the right side of my nose and straighten it out. That'd been great. But
I work out with a guy. He
10 grand later, it's still crooked.
he probably needs to go
run
get
the
his
risk
fixed
of it
because
going the other way too.
he's in super good shape, but he works out and when he gets heavy breathing, he's like, and he has to breathe only through his mouth, which you don't think about it, but man, that's a big. He's losing a lot of oxygen when he's in peak performance mode.
Yeah.
So
Which is rough.
Why can't he breathe through his nose?
he just broke it a bunch of times, so there's scar
Yeah,
tissue
it just
or
doesn't
something.
work.
Yeah, so they'll have to go in, and I don't know if you had that, right, where they basically core you out, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's 2 different types. I mean, I had what's called a, oh my gosh, I'm trying
Deviated septum.
deviated septum. And what they do with that one is they essentially like cut your nose lift your nose up, get the cartilage out of the way, and then they take. Have you ever seen like those things that they measure rings to see what size a ring is?
I like don't
It's
do
like
good for
skinnier
this
at the
kind of
top,
stuff.
and it's metal. They put one of those in your nose and get it in there, and they kind of wiggle it around, make sure everything's opened up, and then they put in like some stents, sew you up, clean everything out, let it heal. And then the next one, though, that one's kind of weird because I actually have a cadaver rib bone in my nose. So the top portion of my nose is not my actual bone. I don't have any feeling in it.
I stood next to Daniel while he was recovering and arguing with people at restaurants because they wanted him to put his mask over his nose.
Yeah, during
he was
COVID.
like, I literally can't. Like, doctor's order.
Yeah.
And they're
People
like,
just
well,
come
you
and tell
have
you to do
to.
that?
Oh, yeah. People would get mad at me all the time. And I was like, dude, like,
he's not
I
gonna-
paid $10,000 for this, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not messing it up.
And they would like double down on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We got like 17th down on things before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was pretty crazy.
I just can't imagine. Like if someone, like let's say I was afraid of
Yeah, it was my
someone having their mask on and I was angry at them. Maybe I'd be like, hey, can you put your mask? I mean, I can't even imagine me doing that part. Like, can you put your mask on? But then if they're like, no, I'd be like, what a jerk. And then if I was still afraid, I'd probably just leave.
That was
I wouldn't
the whole,
engage with them if they have a deadly disease.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
If someone has like the hint of virus or something, I'm like, oh, okay, you win. I'm out.
That was
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
weird thing about that is it was like, it became like everyone else's responsibility to like not get me sick. And that was the point of view of everybody. So that's why we had to like everybody masked up, everybody did that or that.
man, we could go
'Cause I
down the
remember we had that
rabbit hole.
argument of like there's an old lady that we were talking to, and she was like, I need to go get groceries. People like you won't put your mask up. And it was like, your health isn't my concern. Like, if you are afraid of going to the grocery store, get somebody else to go or order them or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
that's not my
Dang, what a
responsibility.
mean, Philly's mean.
I know. And it's like,
Yeah, zip it, Grandma.
I will say this. It's going to sound so holier now, but me and my wife, I think we heard a talk or something, and it wasn't even about that, and we just decided we're going to do it to be nice.
stupid.
I will say it's odd that I was in that camp,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I don't really regret it. It was fine.
I just remember you'd walk into Walmart early days and they would like, the workers would hand them to you and you'd walk in with a line of people who would take it and then there's a dumpster right next to it. It's just
Throw it
like,
away.
everybody grab it. And it's different between, so we live close to like 2 different counties.
Mm-hmm.
One county, everybody's very masked up all the time. And
The
then the
county
other
was
one
like
was just like,
rebels.
just throwing them in the trash.
I will say that it was like nobody on the one county ever.
Oh, yeah, they wouldn't dare. I mean, they would look for a reason for somebody not so they could like film them and make a scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other county was like, who cares? We're just shopping.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Well,
Well, so get this. Do you guys remember the year 1994?
oh yeah, I was entering my mission in the Great Ohio.
Wow.
I think I just had my 7th birthday.
I think I was
pretty cool.
8, 9.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wicked cool. I was in elementary, so that's awesome. But maybe you'd remember this.
And maybe
You're old enough.
I don't remember much on my mission because if it's in the world, because I was like in
Paused.
news or anything, it was
Yeah.
like I was like out of it. But
Oh, then maybe you probably didn't.
I remember the song "Breakfast at Tiffany's" for some reason.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about breakfast at Tiffany's? It's like literally was playing my whole mission. It seemed like
Everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember walking by on my mission and I walked by a newspaper and it was like, Pluto's out.
Dude, what is up with that?
And I was just like, whoa, that's
You're distracting
crazy.
me because I have
that's big
strong
news.
feelings about the Pluto situation. But anyway, Daniel.
Yeah, yeah. So
1994.
specifically September 16th, 1994
Ooh,
was a
day
pretty
after my birthday.
intense day. But let's fast forward just a few days before that, okay?
Okay.
And I want you to think of Africa. Zimbabwe, Africa. Okay? I want you guys to picture yourselves. I'm in Zimbabwe, Africa. It's like
Is that like a village? Or is it like
it's
pretty
a
modern city?
it's a country. And it's in Africa.
Okay.
So that's okay. I mean
So it's
So,
big.
so a city?
it's like it's a little bit bigger than a city.
It's like a city state, but it became city states became countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
I'm just trying to
just to
envision-
make things a little bit easier, I'll pull it up here for you, Fielding, so I can show it to you on a world map.
Is this pre-hyperinflation Zimbabwe?
Yeah, I bought a bunch of that and nothing happened, which is kind of disappointing. So Zimbabwe is just north of South Africa. Okay. So southern part of Africa.
Okay. I can see it now.
And it's, has some rural areas.
You guys
It has
know
some
somebody
really-
who actually served his mission there.
We do?
Do you remember Christopher?
Really?
Yeah. I probably shouldn't say his full name. You might have to bleep it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Christopher.
I would say, yeah.
But he served there, which I just thought was interesting. He's like literally one of the most interesting people I've ever met.
Served in Zimbabwe.
Yeah. He's like a concert level pianist. He was like state champion basketball player. You may not.
And they just threw him out to that beautiful country.
I don't know. Maybe it's beautiful. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, no,
my head, I'm
it
envisioning
definitely
it.
is like, I mean, if you think of like typical Africa, right? Like where it's kind of like, tall grass, trees, it's a nice, it's a pretty place. Now, there is a small little rural town called Ruwa.
Ruwa.
Okay.
Now, a few days before September 16th, 1994, all over the country of Zimbabwe, people were reporting and saying that they heard an explosion. Okay. And it was loud. It was at night. And people reported it all over the place. Even on all the way across the country, people were saying that they heard an explosion. Okay. The other thing that's interesting too is that there was a lot of reports of weird lights in the sky. Okay. The kind of weird lights that don't move like an airplane does. It kind of bounces around, right? Tons of
Because
those
airplane lights, you would think would be normal, right?
Yep.
You see
Straight
a light,
line, it flashes,
no big deal,
right?
Blue, green, something about which way it's going.
Right.
But these ones are being weird, huh?
So these ones are being weird. And so there is a specific lady that lived out there. Her name was Cynthia Hind. Cynthia Hind was part of a pretty well-known organization for those that believe in UFOs. Have you guys ever heard of MUFON?
Yes, MUFON.
Yeah.
MUFON.org, right?
Right.
Oh,
Big
wait.
fan.
That's MoveOn.org.
Yeah, I don't know.
MUFON.
I don't know what MoveOn is.
MoveOn.org? Wasn't that Obama's thing?
I don't know. MoveOn is like the...
But MUFON, I have heard of MUFON. I was making a joke that did not land.
Yeah,
were
sorry,
too-
that went right
we were
over
too
my head.
young.
That was my bad.
Or
Move On
we forgot about
is
it.
like, it was like some political action party that funded something. So,
Yeah.
But MUFON.
MUFON is the Mutual UFO Network.
All right.
So basically, it's a worldwide network of UFO experts or people that are familiar with UFOs. And what they do is they actually
We should probably join it.
Years
We should.
ago, I looked at starting a Utah one. To my chagrin, there was already one.
Oh, that's lame. Super lame. Well, we'd love
I
to
may
join
just
it.
start my
So
own.
hook us up. Yeah. Maybe instead of MUFON, it's Fielding on.
Mufasan.
Mufasa.
Yeah, we might run into some.
Hey, there's a UFO over there.
It's Fielding holding like an alien baby.
Yeah.
As the logo.
Ooh,
That'd be
that
sick.
would be dope.
That'd be
like
so
it.
sick.
I'll start a Facebook page.
Maybe that'd
Yeah.
be a great T-shirt too. Fielding holding an alien baby
Mufasa.
standing on Pride Rock.
Mufasan.org. And that would be freaking awesome, dude.
It'd be rad. So anyway, so Cynthia Hind starts going around and she starts interviewing. She feels like, hey, this is odd. There's reports that come from London BBC saying that it was a Russian satellite that was entering the atmosphere. Don't sweat it, right? But it doesn't explain obviously all the weird lights and all these different witnesses and different things. Okay.
Always blame the Russians.
Always blame those Russians, right? They do everything. So get this. So then let's fast forward a few days. Now it's September 16th, 1994. And in Ruwa, this rural area, it's kind of like farming community out in Zimbabwe, okay? And there is a school there. And it's the name of the school is Ariel School. Now it's a small enough community that kids from ages 5 years old, all the way up to 12th grade, 18-year-olds, okay? So it's a small school, but a wide range of different ages are attending this school. Okay?
It's like a K through 12 type situation.
Yeah, like a K through 12. Okay, so they end up having morning recess that morning, and the teachers of the school decide, hey, we're going to do a meeting during that 15, 20 minutes of recess time. And normally they'd have like, a teacher or two out there kind of keeping an eye on the kids, but they're all alone out there.
It was
on the
1994, different time.
Yeah, dude, 1994. Like life
Children
was a
could
lot
be unsupervised.
Yeah, a lot simpler back then, right? Or so it seemed. And they're all just playing on the schoolyard, just hanging out, okay? And then some of the kids started to hear what they said was like, almost like the sound of like electricity crackling, right? You ever like, heard that sound? Like from like videos like Transformers breaking,
like
and electricity arcing, and
what is the thing called?
or like a taser. Yeah. So basically the kind of the sound of electricity arcing and things, right? It happens for like a couple seconds and it catches the attention of some of the kids, but then it goes away. And then they're like, okay, that was weird. They keep going on with, if they're playing on the schoolyard. And then it comes back, but it's even louder this time. And it starts to get enough of the kids' attention that now they're like interested in trying to figure out like what's going on. And so a bunch of the kids start, walking towards the school fence, right, which is on the back of the school property. And beyond that fence is basically field, and then it goes to like a forested area. Okay, so there's not really anything back there. Well, as these kids start going out towards that fence, the rest of the kids hear, can you see it? Can you see it? Like, look over there, look over there. What is that? What is that? And it starts this huge commotion. So then all the kids start flooding the fence and running over there to see, what everyone else is talking about. Well, they walk over to the fence line, and lo and behold, they see a flying disc. Sweet. And this flying disc comes in basically for a landing in the field towards the forest, beyond where, the schoolyard is. And it comes down to landing, but it never touches the ground. And they then see figures.
Oh, yeah.
It begs the question, if the UFO lands, but it never touches the ground, did it make a noise? No, it's...
Yeah.
I would say it probably
like
wouldn't.
Something like that. I'm pretty sure that's...
Isn't that how the saying goes?
If a tree falls in the woods, no one's going to see it.
Oh, the tree.
Yeah. I kind of like the UFO version, though.
Yeah.
If a UFO doesn't touch the ground, did it land?
Yeah.
If a UFO lands in a field but never touches the ground, did it land?
Yeah.
Right. I like that.
Maybe that's where the...
I'm going to use that on my kids the next time.
Mm-hmm.
Where the corn...
Children of the Corn?
No. Close. The, pictures.
Oh, I know you're talking about...
I just keep saying corn maze, but that's not it.
You're talking
Crop
about
circles?
the crop circles.
Yeah. Because you have ones that are, snapped down, and it's obvious that, it's man-made with, a big board.
Oh, board and the ropes.
But then a lot of them are, heat. They've heated up the stock at the same spot across all of them, and they all just fold nicely. That's a different time, but...
Crop circles. Okay.
That'll be a fun one to dive into.
Yeah, that's next episode then.
So get this. So they're all looking, and this is what the kids describe. Okay. That they were humanoid, wearing black spacesuits.
Okay.
Sick.
Okay. And they had big heads, tiny noses, small mouths, and huge black eyes with gray-like skin.
I think I could picture that now.
So,
Teeny little body, black suit, big old head, big old gray skin, black eyes.
yeah.
Yeah, it's I think I saw, that really is an accurate description. It was Kurt Cobain's ex-wife, lead singer of Hole. I was when she went to that last Hollywood party, I think. Gray, putrid skin, huge, black eyes. Maybe.
Could be the same person.
Could
be.
I don't know.
Could be.
I'm an open-minded person.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I can't think.
As
of
you
her
should
name.
be.
I keep wanting to say Gwyneth Paltrow, but
No,
that's not
no.
it.
That's not it. I don't know. I'm not very good with celebrities and stuff.
Oh gosh.
I think of that latex over the skin.
Is it Courtney something?
Courtney Love.
Courtney Love.
Okay. Okay,
There you
I'll
go.
throw a
We got
picture up
there.
for my own benefit because I
We
know
got
who
there.
you're talking about.
It won't be an accurate description. She's actually a perfectly fine-looking person. Her soul's dark, though.
Right, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
So then get this. So all these kids, they're standing there. They're now looking at this. Some of the kids are terrified, right?
Because it's landed.
It's landed,
have
and now
come
they're
out.
seeing creatures coming out. Many of the kids reported 3 creatures, 2 of them on the ground that were kind of walking around the spacecraft, that kind of thing. And a third one that was on top of the spacecraft.
This is weird because because kids, that many kids, it'd be tough to lie about the whole thing.
Oh,
Right.
Something happened.
It's going to get even better.
Or to say, like, yeah, they just
Right?
made it up.
Like,
or
let's all
they
get
just-
together and trick these grups.
Yeah. Oh, and it gets better. Trust me. I got even more for you. So they see these, what are sounding like aliens, right?
Yeah.
There's some kids that reported seeing flashes of light and smaller crafts that were going around the spacecraft in like super fast speeds. And then it would stop and then it'd move and then stop and then kind of go all over the place, which sounds like it could have been like maybe drones that were fixing the aircraft. And then the kids, are like stunned and like, flabbergasted at this. Some of the younger kids leave screaming, crying, right? But some of the older kids like get even closer,
Smart.
okay, towards these aliens. And it sounds like
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
the
You gotta get
fence
Carpe
isn't
diem.
like fences here in the United States where it's like this chain link fence. It's 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
It's like literally like a couple posts, maybe a couple wires. So these kids can like walk over it.
Yeah.
And some of the kids get even closer. And there is a few kids and 2 girls in particular that they're looking at this creature and the commotion's getting louder and
How
louder
big
and
is
louder.
the creature? Do we know?
They basically says it was like normal like man height, right?
Okay.
So they're probably like, let's just say
5 to
5'8",
6.
5'9", 5'10", pretty average, height. And one of the girls makes eye contact with this alien. They're more focused on the craft and everything, but then with the commotion, one of the aliens turns around and makes eye contact with her. And it scares her so bad, she goes to turn and run, but she can't move. She's like frozen in place. And then she looks at the alien again and ends up having visions of the future. She ends up seeing like fire, famine. She sees like dead bodies in the streets. The world's on fire. All these terrible images are
She looks
flashing
next
through
to
her
Tommy
mind.
and she's like, he's going to drink.
Yeah.
Ruin our marriage.
I didn't even like him. I didn't even know we were going to get married.
Dang.
So then her friend reaches over, noticing that she's like in a trance, staring at this alien. She's like, we got to get out of here. And the alien's walking towards them now and getting closer and closer. And then gets almost to the point of arm's length. And she grabs the girl's arm to pull her away and immediately feels and sees the exact same vision
Sick.
that her friend is having. And then, just at that moment, the school bell rings, snaps them out of their trance, and the 2 girls turn around and run back to the school. Okay. Now all these kids, okay, and there was 62 kids in total. Okay, all run back into the school and they're telling the school teachers, "Oh my gosh, there's a ship and these people and all this crazy stuff." And so after all the teachers kind of corral the kids, get them to calm down and understand what's going on, they run back out there to see what's going on. And by the time they get out there, there's nothing there. So this story,
Dumb parents.
yeah, this story
Old people suck.
Old people suck.
of the Ariel School sighting is actually to this day the most compelling evidence we have of a UFO sighting, because shortly after these 62 kids went into the school, one of the teachers and who like spread the word among all the other teachers came up with the idea that, hey, we should have all the kids draw what they saw.
Okay.
Okay? So all these kids now are sitting by themselves drawing what they saw. And check this out.
Smart teacher.
Right? So check this out. So I'm going to pull this up here. these are the actual drawings of the kids. And the drawings that they had. Now, keep in mind, you have kids all the way from the age of, 5, 6 years old, all the way up to 18.
It's fun because you can...
That does look like Courtney Love.
But if you can see here, you got a ship here with a little alien, another ship.
Look at how weirdly close that looks.
I was going to say, you can tell it's
Is this a separate one too?
Different
or is this
drawings.
the same?
These two are the same. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but then you have this one here, black suits, aliens, right?
That's different.
See, and then you have down here another one with the trees, the aliens, all the school kids, another one with a ship.
That would be hard to do if you actually faked it.
Right.
And had them and now go draw what you really saw. That would be hard to do.
Right. See, and here's another one.
Because also, if you're a kid and you're going to make this up, you wouldn't anticipate the teacher
another one
believing you and then making you all go in different rooms
another
and
one,
draw what you
another
saw.
One.
So, wow, behind the trees.
Right. So there's this evidence that then ends up basically being created by these children that are all basically drawing the same creatures, the same shaped aircraft.
Wow.
The same lights around the bottom.
They convicted the hurricane on less.
Yeah. So either A, this is probably the most elaborate, well thought out plan by a bunch of school kid aged children, or what I believe is this is the most compelling sighting that's ever taken place. So because you have 62 separate sources that all corroborated the same story.
That's wild.
Which is
wild because I'm still jury's out on UFOs for me, like not being. Well, I guess this actually doesn't. So, is there like a base around there or something? Is there government secret bases? Ooh, one of those Antarctica type bases.
That's true.
So this area is rural enough that I guess there's always the possibility that it could be military of some type. It could be military tech. Right?
Sure.
But then it's hard to explain some of the way that these kids felt, some of the things that they saw, the visions.
Because while he was like telling the story, I'm like, okay, I could see a military thing going, and then their craft has issues, so they land, and they think they're like invisibility tech that creates a
they're
thing
just chilling. They're
is
like,
working, right?
Look at those kids, dude. They don't see us.
And then they're all of a sudden they look over and it's like, I think that kid's looking at me. And then they start walking towards it, and then the kid like freezes, and you'd be like, oh, freak, they can see us. And then they yell up to the guy that's on top like, hey, Butch, I think they can see us.
We gotta go.
We gotta go. Or like reboot the shield or something. Like that could be a scenario. But the fact that, like, when she locks eyes, she sees all this, like, horrible future.
So then get this. There's even more, right?
And think of all the biblical stories that they say they see angels, and then they prophesy, like, the future.
Yeah.
So, like, is that just a side effect of meeting, like, a higher intelligent being?
So get this. This is what...
Or a lower dimensional being.
Ooh.
I'm not sold on either.
Yeah. So get this. It says witnesses describe receiving a download of information directly into their minds.
Oh, yeah, that's what's
rather
gonna
than
happen
hearing
with the,
spoken words. Okay, the messages conveyed by the beings emphasize the interconnectedness of all life on Earth, and it's important of preserving the environment for future generations. Some children report feeling overwhelmed or frightened by the experience, while others described a sense of calm and understanding. So between the two different kids and like the things, or not the two different kids, but the different kids, they have these different experiences. And the vision that these two girls end up having that they describe and talk about in their interviewed by like BBC reporters, news reporters, because all these reporters descend on this school once this story gets out and they start interviewing. And so there's interviews of these kids, you know, on camera where they're asking questions. They explain what they heard. They explain what they felt, what they saw. And most of these, you know, visions and downloads these kids received was like, hey, this is the path of humanity and it's not a good one. And that was the message being conveyed by these beings before they ended up leaving.
So you had some kids that saw like a positive future and some kids that saw like a negative future.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It'd be interesting to see like the dynamic of their family life.
Missed opportunity. They could have had like real scientists come and do like a study,
Like a
maybe
psych
like almost
evaluation.
like or maybe even over the future, like the marshmallow test, where like, all right, everyone who saw a positive thing over here, everyone saw a negative, and then follow them through their life. Which one succeeded more?
Yeah.
Which one, which one's and then be like mindset.
Yeah.
Well, get this. Psychiatrist.
Okay.
Oh wait. So pause.
John Mack from Harvard University traveled to Zimbabwe to conduct his own interviews and assessment of the children's mental health.
Oh, fetch. I should have just waited a second.
He came about 3 or 4 months after the event actually took place and went through and interviewed multiple children, not all of them, but a majority of them. He interviewed.
3 months. He's like, here's
recorded the interviews. He brought a BBC.
Too expensive.
He brought a BBC reporter with him to record a lot of the interactions, and that's where a lot of the videotape come from. But his conclusion, is that these kids are 100% telling the truth. There's no signs of mental disorders or mental conditions that would cause them to hallucinate, make up, or see, this or have this experience. And it is 100% factual. Now, the question is, and I guess people can still argue, is did these kids see a UFO? Or did they see, some kind of military tech? Or was there something in the air, some kind of chemical, and it made them all hallucinate? The same thing, who knows, right? But the conclusion that he had was that these kids' mental health was perfectly fine, and that these kids all experienced an event so similar that it wouldn't be possible for these kids to make up a story and have their stories align so well. I mean, there's different things, especially 3 to 4 months after it happened. There was little discrepancies between their stories, right? How tall were they? How short were they? Etc. But the main root of the story, that there was an alien craft, there was beings, they received information that was not verbal, but images in their mind. And either some kids felt calm, some kids were scared by it, but they all had this experience together. Now, one thing I failed to mention that I thought was also like super cool, or actually kind of creepy. A majority of the kids stated that it wasn't until the aliens started moving that it actually scared them. Because they said that when the aliens moved, it was as if they were running in slow motion.
Who was?
The aliens were running in slow motion. That was the way that they described them moving. So if you think about running, right, like huge arm spreads, giant, movement and long strides.
So it's like Philly
they were
scenario,
doing that, but in slow motion.
So they're in some sort of different.
Yeah.
Like
you're looking through some sort of shimmer or something.
Yeah. Maybe some kind of, with some way they are altering. I mean, you think about like UFOs, right? You look at the Tic Tac videos and things. There's this some kind of orb or some kind of magnetic field, something that surrounds these aircrafts that I think prevents their aircraft from being, influenced by gravity, which then allows them to make such sharp turns and things like that. And there's no gravitational influence.
That's why they can go through water without.
Right. And that's why, you could have, a humanoid being, people would be like, it's impossible for a human to be in there because of the G-force that you would feel by making a 90-degree turn at like Mach 5.
But they're really not. They're
not
moving around the ship.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So I don't know if they were looking through something and they were running, but it was delayed in some way or time was shifted. That it was delayed in their mind.
That's weird. Slow motion running would be kind of creepy.
That is weird.
Because it's unnatural.
I'm going to remember that. If someone like aggressively comes to me, I'm just be like,
You're like,
they'd freak out.
They would freak out.
They would freak out. I think it would work.
Yeah.
It makes me like think of like last week we were talking about this simulation and how things like render. And so if they're inside a thing and they're not moving, but the map is zipping around them, and then something happens, and so they're like, well, we gotta go out and look at the ship. So they get out, they're stretching their legs, the little drones are flying around and fixing it. That could work. I just still don't get like the vision things.
Yeah.
That's what's weird.
Well, and I think a lot of like, you mentioned like, the Bible, like where they have interactions with angels and they receive visions and downloads, right, of information. And there's multiple stories, UFO abductions, UFO sightings, where people have said the same thing, where they've received information, not in the typical sense that we do when we communicate with words and etc., but telepathically, they're basically implanting these, I don't know, like videos almost, right? Or like, these visions into their mind that they can then see and experience, that then gives them way more information than it would if they came over and started talking to them and telling about the future. You think about, maybe watching a movie, over the course of an hour, and how hard it would be to tell that entire story verbatim, with words, and still have that same experience like watching a movie. And so these downloads that come into their minds are like these powerful, quick ways of communicating and sharing a message that is really in depth.
Or like Harry Potter, where like Voldemort and Harry are connected, and so they can like experience each other's thoughts. What if it's something like when you connect with these beings, it opens up some sort of channel. We don't understand it. So what we're like feeling is either this person's past or future. If time doesn't exist, it's all everywhere all the time. We don't know that we're like inside this person's mind, and we think it's like telling us something, but really we've just patched into something, and we're just like running around crazy in their brain because we don't know what's happening. So our brain is trying to like make sense of it.
Right.
But there's there's a theory that the Greys are either, so two theories, that they're androids of some sort.
Right.
That's why they're like little and they have big heads and they like walk weird because they're like androids. Another one is they don't have souls. We do. And so their abduction of people is they are trying to figure out, in animals, they're trying to figure out how to remove our souls out of our bodies and put it into themselves so that they can get the souls.
But then we could just take over.
I heard another theory about the Greys too. That's similar to that.
Okay.
But the theory is the Greys were humans at some point on a different planet. They basically destroyed their planet, whether it be through war or they destroyed their resources. But basically, what happened was their atmosphere was depleted significantly, which then forced them to live underground on their planet. And by living underground for thousands of years, their skin lost a lot of its like.
But their planet is our planet.
Well,
we are they. They are us, and they came back through time, right?
They just go inside the honeycomb Earth. It's already down there.
Maybe, I don't know.
And they're just
but
living in
this
honeycomb.
But in this theory, they are from another planet.
Yeah.
And they've sent out their people that are gray because they've been living underground. The reason their eyes are so big is because they've been living in the dark. And so their eyes got bigger so they could gather more light while they're living underground. They're still highly advanced. And so what they did is they sent out spaceships to other planets throughout the galaxy, right, to find other humanoids. And they're using and abducting and taking people because what they're doing is they're trying to take our DNA, splice it with theirs to get back to a traditional humanoid body so that they can create like a newer generation of their race so as a standard human.
So that they can exist on the planet.
On a different,
if you can't exist on top of your own planet because the sun will kill you or whatever because you can't see, you can't.
Right.
So then you would go back, try and find ways to genetically get yourself or your descendants back, because that would be a hellish life to just live trapped in a cave.
I think that it could be us on our planet, and that in their timeline the world gets destroyed because we were trying to collide all this stuff at the CERN thing. Mm-hmm. And so at some point in the future, we will, and it'll affect the sun. It'll rip all of our atmosphere off. We'll go under the earth into the honeycomb.
I like it.
And, our
And
eyes
then
will be like,
we become advanced. And then we realize that there's another one of us that is in a different timeline that didn't destroy the earth. Because they said, stop this madness.
stop this madness.
And so that timeline stopped that from happening. So now these guys are like, wait, we got to go back and make sure that actually happens. So they are now the bad guys. They're working with our government, and they're the ones that are like the bad guys in X-Files and all this stuff. They're trying to like hurt,
manipulate,
and they want us to keep doing all these crazy experiments with like that it ended up destroying the earth.
Because if we
don't,
then they cease to exist.
Then they cease to exist. So they're back here. But then us in the future that didn't destroy it are also sending people back. It's like Terminator.
I like it.
With aliens.
And they're the ones that are like...
Because they're like shutting down the nuclear bases.
And so those guys are bringing us a lot of tech. That's saying, hey, you don't need to do those experiments. We got this tech.
Yeah.
But then that's where you hear stories of like,
we'll
our government's
doing
all these experiments, and they run these experiments, and then they have the answer, and they keep running the experiments. You're like, well, why would they do that? Well, because they want to run the experiments, because that way, that's the thing that can hurt and destroy the earth and drive us into the honeycomb.
I love it. Well done, Travis.
Yeah,
I like that too.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I think it's an amazing story. There's so much information out there. Obviously, most governments, most people try to discredit it.
The thing that gets me is those pictures.
Oh yeah, and there's tons of them. Tons of them
happened.
Yeah,
even if they were lying, their photos would all look
different.
Some of them are good drawings too. I'm like,
yeah.
You can tell the older kids.
Yeah,
versus the
they're
younger.
like
got their like lead thing like on its side shading.
Well, you can see some. One of them has like color.
Yeah.
The other ones are like shaded, and then the other ones are just like crayon, the circle.
So, anyways, I think it's one of the most important, UFO stories out there. I mean, right along with, what is it, Vagaris, oh my gosh, Chile or Brazil, I can't remember.
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about? And then you had the one that happened in the U.S. Air Force Base that's out in England.
What's that one in Montana?
Yeah, the one in Montana where there was that guy, that tall guy.
1978 or something.
Yeah, where it was an eclipse and he saw a UFO.
And then I told you about it. It was like most compelling UFO story of all time.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
It's a pretty good one.
You're going to have to go back in the episodes to get that one. Yeah. But anyways, want to thank Travis. Thank Fielding. Cool story. Check it out. Check out more. There's like all kinds of information on it. Yeah, there's some great YouTube videos as well. So you could dive into that one, and there's so much information we didn't get to, but super cool story. Check out our website, conthedot.com. There's all kinds of cool stuff on there too. Our videos are there. You'll find all the different chats, everything. It's awesome. Follow us on social media. And most importantly, don't forget, you're a champion. Thanks for watching. You guys are the best.